So we got a couple minutes here before we get rolling, people. So I'm going to do a quickie while we're waiting for everybody to come back on. So I didn't get a chance last week to talk about my motivation thing, and I really don't have a lot to offer to team structures and stuff like that today. I'm going to let people like Dan and Bobby and Pete and all those guys with Pizza on Dennis talk about that stuff. But I want to give you guys a quick message. 2 days ago was my 55th anniversary of I call it my rebirth. So I almost died at 17 years old in 1978. So I'm going to give you the scenario and I'm going to give you the story real quick. And then wherever the heck the rest of our peeps are, get on here. It might just be me and you, Cam, today. But anyways, so quarter of 8, 1978. It was a very rare night. I didn't have played a gig because I played every Friday and Saturday night pretty much for 8 years solid. And we went to a gas station. Now, for all you youngins out there, we didn't have self-serve gas stations back in the 70s, right? And they also didn't have those little plastic rubber things that stop the gas from backing up on you. So you got to picture me there. I have hair down the middle of my back. I was very, very hot. Actually, it was hot out. Okay. It was August 22nd of 1978. Hey, Maddie.
Hey.
And so so I'm sitting there and there's 10 cars there, one gas station attendant. So I go out and pump the gas. And I had a very sexy fishnet shirt on, those nylon fishnet shirts of the 70s. It went out and I got about 6 inches diameter gas on my shirt. And it might have been 4, it might have been 5. I don't remember exactly. It was 55 years ago. But anyway, so my friend Rick asked me for a light. Click, the fumes caught, and I blew up. I caught on fire inside my friend's car. So again, for those of you old enough to remember, there was the stop, drop, and roll commercials all the time, teaching you what to do if someone catches on fire. Well, luckily, my buddy Rick saw that, and he pulled me out of the car, got me on the flames. He's rolling me one way, and I'm seeing the gas tanks to the gas station. Rolling me the other way, and I see the gas tank to the car. And in my brain, it was kind of cool. Being on fire, there was no pain. Like while I was on the fire, they told me I was screaming and yelling and all curled up like this, but there was no pain. But I kept thinking I was worried about my dad because he had a heart problem. I worried about my mother, of course, my girlfriend. And I kept thinking my friends are going to die here because I'm going to blow up the entire gas station and they need to get out of here. I resigned the fact that I was going to be dead. And they did tell me I got 10 seconds before I'd be dead. So anyway, so I get the ambulance gets there 5 minutes later, something like that. And by the way, when you get out of when the fire went out, that's where the pain is. It was literally, I was laying there, F, and then I'd make a stupid joke because that's what I do. And then I'd be F, and then I'd make a stupid joke. Even when the ambulance guys are dumping 12 gallons of ice water from the end of the hospital, 10-minute drive on my body because my temperature went up to 107, 108 degrees. I was making stupid jokes because that's what I do. Get to the hospital. This is a great lunch thing, by the way. Graphic, this skin hanging down from my body everywhere. It's disgusting. I could see my bones on my fingers.
Oh my!
It was really bad. And there's a whole purpose for me telling you guys the story because it's important. So anyway, I get put in intensive care. I'm in the surgical room for 6 hours, right? To try to save my life because I was close to dying at that point. I lost great weight loss thing, by the way. I went from 135 pounds to 100 pounds in less than 5 seconds. So that's kind of cool. So it's part of my diet book I'm working on. And so anyway, so the next morning I'm in intensive care and I made it through the night. That was the touch and go. If I made it through the night, I did. And so there, the doctor's talking to my parents. He's like, look, Mitch is going to need extensive surgery, somewhere between 6 and 8 surgeries. We got that. Both his hands are bad. His chest and stomach are really bad. Going to need skin grafts and all this stuff. Figure 4 to 6 months in the hospital. I'm like, well, no. And I'm on morphine. Like, no, not happening. I go, I have this really important gig in 3 weeks I have to play at. And it was our first concert the band was putting on by itself. We played every weekend, but we didn't put any of our shows on. This is our first show. It was sold out. We're all excited. And he's like, no, Mitch, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. He goes, you're going to grow all your skin back. And then when you can go like this, we'll know you're okay to get out of the hospital. So anyway, so every morning they take me down and they deep breathe me. They take all the skin off my body, right? All the 105 degrees. And then every night I would literally bawl my eyes out trying to move my hands. Right? Very, very, you couldn't move them. It was like literally going like this. And again, you can still see the scars on my hand. Those are all bone there. And cool thing about morphine, by the way, you can watch all the cells grow back individually. It's kind of cool. But anyway, so that's every night. A week later, now remember, I'm 17 years old. I am literally just trying to get my nurse Pam to fool around with me because she's really hot. But there's, I know there's gonna be jokes involved, but there's doctors coming in from all over the country. I don't get it. I'm 17 years old, right? And literally there's a parade of doctors all day, every day coming in. And anyways, I'll make this a little shorter because we get time constraints. 2.5 weeks later, doctor walks in. I got out of the hospital and played the gig. So I played the gig. It was a 4-hour gig. It was 4-set gig. I played 3 standing up. I had mini condoms in my fingers. I was bleeding everywhere. The third set, I had to literally sit down and play. So that was that. But then I want to take you to the lesson, because I didn't learn the lesson back then. At 50 years old, I was addicted to pain pills from my 2 neck surgeries I had. My doctor said, you'll be on the rest of your life. And my real estate brokerage was doing shitty. My coaching business was doing crappy. All that stuff was doing bad. And I decided on a Friday to stop pain pills completely. Even my doctor even called me trying to get me more pain pills that day to pick up a prescription, because I was going to run out, which I did. And next day I'm going through withdrawals. I didn't know what withdrawals were. Never been addicted. By Sunday, I was literally sweating and writing a contract. And I got home, and my wife's like, "You want to watch a movie?" And you can see my wife, 2 years older. My wife, she's like, little smile face, like, "Oh, you want to watch a movie?" I'm like, "I don't give an F what we do." Anyway, she puts on the movie The Secret. And if you've not watched The Secret, it's on Netflix. You need to watch The Secret, because it'll change your perspective on everything. Within 5 minutes of watching that movie, I realized that I cured myself of burns. It's not possible. What I did is not possible. I've talked to doctors. I just talked to my dermatologist 2 weeks about it, two weeks ago. You cannot cure yourself of burns. You cannot take 3rd-degree burns and be better in 2.5 weeks. Yet I did it. So what I realized when I watched that movie was I did it. It was my brain that cured me, not my physical. It was my mental cured my physical. So what I realized at that point, I could change everything with my mind, and I did. I went back. I took a couple of weeks off, got through the withdrawals, went back. Business started skyrocketing. Everything since then has been unbelievable, right? Since that day. But my point is, and this is the lesson of the story: you are so powerful, regardless of how unpowerful you think you are. And most people don't believe in themselves enough as it is, right? You have so much more power in that little brain of yours, and believe me, mine's really little, than anybody else, right? And you can do anything you want. And Henry Ford's line, you've heard me say it millions of times, but it's so true, is when you think you can and think you can't, you're right. So really take a look in the mirror and talk to yourself about why you're holding yourself back from being successful. Anybody can do this business. This is not rocket science. None of us on here are unbelievable real estate people, just really good people that do the job to get it done right. And we were sharing that with you guys. So anyways, that was my positivity story. We're going to get into my mindset story. We're going to get into our call today, which is about team structures and teams. And we're going to go ahead and start with Lurchy, because I'm always making him like near the bottom of the barrel. So because he's from Philly, and he's Philly. He's a snakehead. But anyway, okay, take it over.
There you go. Hey, I'm going to be real easy on this. I don't have a big team now. I used to have a big team. I had a lot of overhead, a lot of employees, and all that stuff. I've with technology, I've leveraged everything that I could, even though I'm the real estate old guy that doesn't know technology. So I took the rules of what all the young people and everybody was doing, is leverage the technology. Then I found the people to run the technology. I have 2 virtual assistants. They're in the Philippines. They work my hours. They don't work at night. They work their night where I am. But then I've also leveraged myself outside of my team. My title partner is part of my team, my closing department, my mortgage guys, all the other contractors I work with. I still view them as part of my team, because they're there to make me shine, and they're there also to get me future business. So where I'm looking at things that I'm supposed to be doing, we've all talked about this, and it's the simplicity, because I know David's got a huge opportunity. I know Matt's building his, Cameron's got, I mean, we all have different things. Sit down and figure out what your dollar-hour productivity is that you want to be, and then delegate the rest. And figure out how to have people do the chores, do the things you don't want to do, whether it's a VA, whether it's a carrier, whether it's a delivery person, whatever that is, and then focus, put it in your schedule, and only do those things. The world's evolved that you don't need to have an executive assistant. I was blessed. I had an executive assistant for 18 years. The reason I lost my executive assistant is she grew to a new level within EXP and wanting to build her own organization, wanting to do more work and more sales and things of that nature versus being that. And I kind of got forced into myself of becoming leaner and meaner in the past year because of that. But I'll be honest with you, I was probably holding her back from her growth while I was also holding me back from mine. So you got to sit and reevaluate what you're doing every couple of years. Are you in the right mindset or not? It's probably not the answer you're looking for, Mitch, but it's the realization I came to within the past 6 to 12 months when your executive assistant of 18 years says, hey, by the way, I want more freedom. I want to go build this thing kind of where you are. And the last thing I ever want to do is hold anybody back from their dreams. So all I do is support her every day now versus her supporting me. So get some virtual assistants, figure out what you should be doing and not doing, and then use your technology. Keep it simple and keep it lean for these markets. Keep it lean.
Yeah, I'll throw one thing on top of that when you say that, Greg, because it's so on point. First of all, one thing I've learned about being in business for 42 years, everybody leaves. Everybody. So they either die, they quit, you fire them, or they retire. Right? One of those four things are going to happen with every single person, and you have to accept that and be okay. The other thing is, they are not you. They will not be you. Right? So they're going to be 50% of what you are. So if you set the expectation, they're going to be better than you. It's not going to happen. They're not.
My wife had a line to it in the end. Well, trust me, I was pissed off. I was mad as a hornet. And she goes, Craig, did you build her to hold her, or did you build her to let her fly? What do mama birds do? And you know, and it was hard. It's a tough thing to understand. But you know, it's what you do. You're supposed to, do that. So
that's it. Very simple. All right, great stuff, Greg. Let's go to Brian, because Brian's like, I don't know why, Brian. It's maybe because you're always in the woods over there. We're always putting you close to the last. So
thank you, and thanks for sharing your story, Mitch. Incredible. I put something in the chat. I don't know who's in control right now, but if somebody can open that, if not, you can open it later. This is something that we used to help brand new agents, and Randy and I used to bring in our top agents and then work with them on building their teams. And so I was on a team from 2000 to 2005 with 5 people, and everybody knew their role. We had a marketing team. We had an assistant who was also a TC in-house. We had a couple buyers agents, and then we had the rainmaker, who was the lead generation. And we did 100 transactions and 60 million in our best year. And it was just because we had a machine. So if you're going to be a part of a team, you want to create a team, or you are your team, whether who you are. This agent quick start guide that I put in there, I don't know if you guys can see it or if it comes up, but it lays out what every realtor does when they're brand new, because you do all the areas yourself. Steps 1 through 7 are all you. And then as you build your momentum, you begin to start really getting good at whatever you do. So whatever you do, just do that. And when you're doing what you love to do, you'll begin to surround yourself with the rest. And the team does not have to be a bunch of realtors. The team is going to be a TC, and it's going to be your title rep and your escrow company, and maybe some of your other services that you like to use. You can get a VA to do step 1, right? Because they're going to just do all your prospecting and making your opportunity bucket fill up. So I love to have newer agents understand the day they get their real estate license, the state they got licensed in deemed them an expert. Good job, you got your license. Like a doctor, or a lawyer. Good job, now you can go operate. So adopt the fact that you're an expert. Now, you don't feel like you know anything when you're brand new, but here's the deal. You don't have to know anything. You just have to know who in your office on your team does know everything. So nobody's going to challenge you when you said, hey, as an expert in the area of real estate, I know how to, I'll find that out for you. I'll get back to you, right? So you just always, as an expert and my team, leverage your team. Your team is usually just your broker when you start, just your manager, just whoever. Eventually, you'll start to get some momentum. And when you do, what slows down momentum the most is when you operate in steps 4 through 7, because you just want to know how to do everything. Well, my mentor told me, get the hell out of your files, Brian. You screw up everything the moment you stop doing what you do best, and then you get in your files, and then you nurture a file all the way until it closes, and then you have nothing left. And now you have to be the marketing guy, and you have to be out there again. So when I learned this lesson, it took 4 years for me at 23 to be the top producer in my brokerage when I was 27. And I ran as a top producer, and I got recruited away. I went to another company, and I started all over again there because it was just a much larger, bigger beast of a company. It was the top Remax office that at that time in the 90s in the country. And guys, like, just names were there. Let all of you know people that were in that office at that time. Even if you're not in California, you knew these names, because one of them was Brian Buffini. He was just operating like a machine. So when you watch that stuff and you begin to realize, I reapplied it. And then I got into management. And when I got into management, I was told I could not manage top producers because they didn't see me as a top producer. So guess what they did? Brian, if you could become a top producer at this company, which was at that time a Prudential California Realty office in Southern California, I had to hit top, chairman's circle, get all this stuff. Every time I did that, I was able to back out and then go back in and do what I love to do, which is train and just work my own book of business. And this Agent Quick Start Guide is the most simple guide to understand what you need to do as a brand new agent and where you operate as a team. And I know most of you, like, who are on this call, where you operate usually is somewhere between 2 and 3, just always with clients, always doing contracts, and always doing what you do best out in the marketplace and handling the moneymaker appointments. But steps 1, 4, all the way up, those you can hand off. And so that's what a team does. And this is just an easy kind of a solution that if you look at it, every one of you can say, look, that's where I actually I'm always in step 2 or step 3 if you're a top producer. I know what you guys are doing. Lurch, you're look at that. You're finding properties and negotiating offers, right? Or you're on listing appointments and you're negotiating listing contracts. And then everything else above that and everything else below that, you've offed it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's very simple. It's easy. It's what I use. It's very simple to sit and look at and say, okay, I do all these things myself. Now let's build a team around this concept. And then where it says, let your team take over, that's not a real estate. You don't need it. You can have a licensed agent at steps 4 through 7, but you don't need them. That's when you really leverage your TC and your sky slope if you're with EXP. That's it. That's what I got.
Awesome. Hey, Brian, a couple of people say they don't see the link. Could you repost it in there again?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the very first thing that should have been in there this morning.
If they're joining later, then they don't see it. Like I just joined and I can't see it because I just came in. So that could be why.
There it is.
Right. And it'll also be posted in the tribe when we're done too a little later on today.
Cool.
Dennis, Mr. Mega rock star team leader.
Yeah.
In back in the day when he was good looking. No, I'm kidding. Dennis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm wicked awesome.
So,
Always.
so the dirty little secret about teams, guys. I ran a team of 3 people all the way up to 15 people. 15 people was adult daycare, basically. It's dealing with emotions and drama and this and that, and it's tough to. So I'll just talk about the difficult things of running a team. It's tough to get everybody's personalities to match perfectly. You're always going to have that little drama going on in the office. It's just the way it is. But the real truth about teams is a lot of them, you guys, are not profitable. So I've coached teams with 20, 25 people, and the team leader ends up making 100 grand a year or less. It's kind of crazy when all the expenses start building up. So my suggestion to people that want to start a team, if they're a successful individual agent, is maybe reconsider it. Honestly, and just get a really, really, really good assistant and just keep crushing it, right? I don't know if Matt Battiat is still on here, but Matt ran a team of, 40, 50 people at one point, and now he's an individual agent with some really good assistants, right? So that's the truth. If you're a successful, productive agent making a lot of money, then that might just be the way to stay. To run a team, there's kind of that little sweet spot where it's either small, 5 people or less, like 5 agents that go out selling or less, or you go above 20, because that 6 to 15 spot is kind of that gray area where it's really kind of shitty. Excuse my French. It's tough to manage. You're not making a ton of money. And the other thing with running a team is when you first start a team, you're giving away half your money, right? So instead of you going out making 100% of that deal, you might be pawning it off to a listing agent or a buyer's agent. Okay, so automatically you're splitting that money. So that transition from an individual agent to running a team is kind of tricky, where you might be losing more money than you thought. So that's kind of what I have right now. So right now I'm just running a really small, succinct team where I just hand out some leads. The other big thing is you have to have leads. If you don't have leads, nobody's gonna stick around, period. I don't care what you say. I don't care how good you are and how good looking you are. If you don't have leads, agents will leave, and that's why they come to you in the first place. And I think, Mitch, you can agree with that, because Mitch taught me that 20 years ago. So
100%. Yeah, it's it's one of those things when you're doing building a team. It's like, why are people going to join you? And I will tell you, based on what Dennis just said, too, just to agree with him. I built my team was 6 agents and 6 people, 5 agents and an assistant and myself, right? And I made the most money then than I made with 120 agents as a broker. I made way more money as a team of 6 than I ever made as a broker. Not even close, but I mean double the money. It wasn't close. So the joke is you will start a team, and then when you get to 10 agents, you're like, I'm not making it. I need to make more money. So you bring on more agents. And then you get to 20, but I got to hire more staff now. Oh, and they're all complaining because they want more tools. They want more of this. They want more of that. All right, so now I need to go up to 30 agents. Next thing you know, and that's what I did. That's why my brokerage grew so good. My original brokerage plan was 12 agents. It was not 120 agents. I was originally going to do 12 agent offices all over the country. And no.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. Mitch, to add to that is, I'm not saying don't start a team. There's super successful teams, and we all know Dave Lawson was on here earlier. I wish he was still here, but maybe we can hit him up next time. He runs a uber successful team in Park City, super profitable. I think, I don't know, he has 20 agents, somewhere around there. But so some teams run really, really well and they're super profitable. I'm just saying the majority of the ones you see in all these Facebook things and all this stuff, a lot of those are not making a whole lot of money. You'd be amazed at how little they're actually making. So Mitch is spot on. If I were, to start a team, I would actually keep it like 3 to 5 agents on a team. Main person, an assistant or 2, okay, and then like 5 agents. 5 agents that go out there and they're the soldiers going out there pounding the pavement. That's the best way to do it, I think. I think that's the sweet spot in running a team. Or you go really big, go 20 plus, and then but like Mitch said, it's a management nightmare, and you're running a business really at that point, like a small business. I mean,
yeah, and if you do sell, like you said, it's going to take away from your sales. There's no question about that.
Dennis, you are absolutely right. I think the most profitable years for all the teams I was either on or had or coached were agents who built their own momentum with assistants, and then instead of bringing on agents, they gave out 25% or 50% type referral fees to other agents within the office that would match up with the personality of the lead. Because that's the delicate part. All of a sudden you get a client that you can handle, but you don't have the time to handle it, but your team isn't the right person. You got to go find another person who can handle it, because they're going to win that deal for you. And so building your team around you doesn't have to be a team agreement. It could just be a team of buyer's agents that they know when you bring them a lead, you're going to be able to negotiate some sort of a commission split with them.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. Can I do something right now, real quick? Remember something in this business, a lot of us have the ego. It's not a matter of what you make, it's what you keep.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you keep in the end. Dennis is a perfect example. Dennis works for more doors. He has a goal of X amount of doors, which is X amount of apartments. He's not funding his world for enjoyment. He's funding his world to buy more doors, which will give him more wealth for his family. And I know we've had this conversation. That's how I know it, Dennis. So figure out what your purpose is, but understand it's what you keep. You can sell $20 million a year in business, $30 million, all this crap, and be broke. That's what being a broker is, being broke. So I got out of being a broker to become an agent in EXP, to leverage myself with people like you and technology and all you guys. That's the biggest thing. We're in our own way sometimes, and I put that in there. So I just wanted to jump in. Just because you do a lot of business doesn't mean you make a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go to Cam. What's up, Cam?
Cam. Hey guys, how's everyone doing?
Good.
So I got a little bit to go over. I think it's going to expand everyone's mind a little bit, because right now everyone's talking about your local team, that you're the team leader, which is obviously what most typical real estate teams are. But we got to think outside the box, and you got to start realizing that every team, even your local team, if you do decide to grow, you know, a larger local team, you need a team manager. You need someone to be the person that can manage the different personalities and you kind of be the office manager. But if you're going to do that locally too, you can expand that. You know, obviously with our network that we've built out, I've been doing this. Luckily, I've been lucky enough to do this obviously almost 16 years now. And I was part of my family's team growing up. I got to watch it all. I got to see kind of the insides from both sides. You got to see it from the team leader perspective, even though I was a team member. And I got to see it from the team member perspective on how they ran everything. And then obviously being able to take control of that team and grow it to what it's become. I was able to just to fix the deficiencies, but you don't know those deficiencies because if you're spending all your time running the team, you can't see it, right? So that is why I believe having a local team leader for your team is so important. An office manager, so to speak, or just someone that can do the overview so that you can always make sure that you're viewing everything as an overall, like everyone's talking about. Make sure that you're viewing it from how much you're earning at the end of the day. The revenue doesn't matter. It's the in-day profit that matters. So obviously over 15 and a half years now doing agents and growing and all that. These are all, you guys got to remember that everything that everyone said so far is spot on. If you are desired and driving and you want to go sell real estate day in and day out, right? If you want to be the guy that's on the contracts, then this is super important. If you're okay taking that step back and seeing the opportunities, right? If you have time to see the opportunities, you can allow other people's names to be on the contract. But if you're able to scale it to volume, you're able to earn more and more money. Obviously, what I started here many, many years ago was the group that we're in. And I did it just because I wanted more leads in a referral network for my business. That's all. That's why I started it. But what came of it was that everyone is available or able to get leads out of this network if you buy into it. I mean, most of the guys here on this panel, when I first joined, I put us in a group chat. So we started trying to work the referral networks the best we could, and we were helping each other. And then it's just grown and grown and grown. So just remember, if you're going to use the team model where you have a team manager, you can do that in other areas outside of just your local team. That also allows you guys to kind of sidestep the problems that a lot of these guys are talking about, where it's, you know, you're a babysitter all day long, which nobody wants to be a babysitter, right? We want to do what we enjoy. I do think if you are going to start a local team, you know, 5 agents or less is really like Dennis was saying, is the key spot. Having a small, tight-knit team that you can really use, kind of like the Navy SEALs, right? The special unit. To have that local team, though, typically it's always going to be built on leads. And then if the leads slow down, the team slows down and the team disappears. Versus if you have a group that you can build in other areas, you're obviously able to kind of to maneuver through the different markets and keep things more consistent, which we've found to have really good success. One thing that you said, Mitch, earlier is that you're able to change anything that you believe in. If you think you can do it, right? The moving the fingers thing, it's the same thing. Just because you're right now a solo agent, that doesn't mean that throughout your career, you're not able to grow a group or a team or a nationwide organization. It's up to you to do that. And it's really not as hard as you think. I mean, it's really one of those things that you put effort into it, you do your time blocking, you put a little bit of time every single day, and it will organically grow, and it allows you to do things that you never thought were possible. But if you don't believe you can, it'll never happen. The other thing is that, you know, team can be more than just agents, you guys. Obviously, all of our preferred vendors are part of my team. I think, who was saying that? Was it Craig? I think it was you saying that, you know, I lean on all of my preferred partners. Those are the people that are sending me leads consistently in my local market. And you need to have, you know, preferred partners that you're working with you. I think, Mitch, you went through that here a few weeks ago on one of our calls of creating that list of people that want to work with you directly. Maybe it was Bobby, but you know, it's so valuable having that. So if you do want to do more locally, you know, growing that 5-person local special unit that you can scale up your local leads is the way to go. One of the things I found too is that being that I am in a vacation market here in South Florida, 95% of my buyers come from somewhere else in the country. We just don't have local buyers and sellers typically. And so I'm always doing marketing all over the country. lots of Canadians, lots of people throughout the United States in the northern sector. And that has also allowed me to do what I was saying earlier, where you're able to grow small groups or a referral network where, you know, you're really able to leverage someone else's time and energy, and you can let them do what they're good at. Well, maybe you do something else. For example, I love marketing. That's what I'm good at. I love being able to create things that people want to view and that people like engage with, and then they reach out to work with you. You know, then you can use someone else to hand off to, so they can do the heavy lifting in an area that maybe you don't even handle. So that's just another idea. But really, you have to keep in mind that you can only do so much as a solo agent. Once you hit that level, you need to branch out. You need to have a good assistant, a good secretary, or a good CPA, someone that's handling the taxes and all that kind of stuff, the business funds. And then, in my opinion, you really do need to have a few agents that you can bring on that you can make special agents that you can offload all those things that you don't want to do. Last thing, I know we're kind of I'm going long here, but Bobby taught me this when I first joined on. Bobby Martin, the San Diego Realtor of the Year. He says, if you do want to form a team, make the simple spreadsheet, right? On the left side, do all the things that you like doing, that you enjoy doing. On the right side, do all the things that you don't like doing, and then try to find a team leader or a team manager that enjoys doing all that, right? You have to be the yin to the yang. You have to find the person that enjoys doing the things that you don't enjoy. So if you do all of that, you put together your little special unit, and then you can grow a group across the country. I think that's really important too. So with all of that, if you do that, I think you can have success with a team. You won't get as frustrated. You'll make more money, but staying small locally, I think is important.
100%. And I'll talk a little bit more on that when we're done with Karina and Randy. Go ahead, Karina, you're up, girl. Did I say you're up, girl?
I'm up. Okay, just had to unmute. All righty. So I love everything everybody says so far, and I'm probably going to echo a little bit of everybody. Probably more like Craig, since he's Philly, I'm Jersey. We have like borders there together, so we kind of run things very similar. But there is definitely a theme that I'm hearing from everybody. So I spent the bulk of my career in real estate not wanting a team. I liked being a plow in the market, plowing out my 75 deals a year plus. And I've always had a full-time assistant, sometimes two, depending on how fast I burn them out. And then coming into EXP, I started realizing I was building my downline that people really wanted something to be a part of. So I decided this year to create a self-organized team. We named it the Lotus Group. I named it the Lotus Group. I'm the team leader or cheerleader on it. And the way I set it up was completely different than what everybody else has talked about on their teams. I created my team. So as I'm bringing in new agents into EXP, I have agents that are rock stars and they don't want to be part of a team or a group. They're good on their own. But I've brought people in that kind of were bouncing around and needed a space that they could leverage, saying I'm part of the Lotus Group, or wanted to increase their volume in real estate. And I love to give back and I love to teach. So I've created the Lotus Group as in, I'm not selling leads. I want to teach them how to actually find their own leads. I want them to be on their own feet. I am not a babysitter. My kids are grown. I'm past that. And I really want to lead the people that are in the Lotus Group who decide to come in as a Lotus Group member to learn how to drop leads on internet marketing or in person, whatever it is that it's going to take. We leverage EXP the way EXP was set up, right? So they do, if they're a new agent, they have to go through the EXP mentor program. I'm their EXP mentor. So that way I have some control over that part. And I have a full-time assistant and two part-times. The two part-timers, they'll never meet. They're just doing the back-end things. Cam, kind of what you said, I always taught my kids, and I've taught anybody in business, leverage your strengths, backfill your weaknesses. So those two extra little part-time ladies are doing the things that I don't have time for, don't want to touch. And so they're very happy with their part-time work. And my full-time assistant is my executive assistant and TC, who is part of the group. And she has a list of like a menu items of what they can hire her for if they want to hire her, as long as they've been through their 3 to 6 deals. Like if they haven't gotten to that point, then they can't use her until they have enough deals under their belt so they know what they're doing in their contracts. We do 1 time a month meetings offsite. And that's where I actually coach them on something. And I bring in one of my business partners. This past time was my lender. She came in and spoke for an hour. We're recording all the sessions and I'm posting them. So if someone can't make it, I'm not going to repeat it twice. They can go watch the video. If we do any other type of trainings, it goes on there. So there's a whole place where they can go and get extra information. They're supposed to plug into the EXP online trainings. They're supposed to plug into today. So hopefully my team's going to message me and tell me that they're here today. They're also to go to Mitch's Monday morning meetings. Every Monday, Mitch teaches an amazing thing, or someone in his group does. And so they have to plug into that. We have a local training every other Wednesday with Melissa. She does another training. So they have to plug into things and then they have to go do it. I'm not going to hold their hand. I'm not going to do it for them. And they understand that. So you can have a team or a group where you're actually leading people to success without having to give up your production and without having to give up money. Now, if I had a lead to sell, the way I sell it is top 20% goes to the marketing budget, and then it's a 40-40 split. And that's how we do it. And everybody's happy, everybody's moving forward. And there is an app that we have on the phone. I put everybody in a group text. If someone has a question, I want them to propose the question to the entire group. So I only have to answer it once or someone else can answer it. And we use something called Telegram. If you're not familiar with it, Telegram's great. And you can put as many people as you want in there. You can pull them out, you can put more in, whatever, but it's a great way of communicating. Craig, it's called Telegram, like we're in the 1800s sending over a telegram, but it's really great, excellent. It's a great thing to do mass communication with your group or people or whoever you have to get in, and it's not going to clog up your regular text messages and easy to find. So, so far, so good.
That's great. A lot of stuff. And, part of what you just said is, Kim, I actually want you to talk about this a little bit more. Leveraging, because we talked about this together before, leveraging, and this is mainly for people that are with EXP in here, but I want Kim to talk about it for a few minutes, about leveraging EXP and your upline and your organization to help with your team and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's one of the biggest advantages I think a lot of us use here at EXP is you can really use the model to add support. Obviously, I think obviously you guys all know I'm right now doing the tour around Florida, and that's what it's all about. It's trying to drive stuff, give people stuff that they can use. And heck, I mean, at this point, you don't even got to be a part of EXP. If you want help, I am here to help you. And that's why we started the whole Next Gen group. It's like, it's broker agnostic. I just want to help people. And then just like Karina was saying, it's like when you help people, then they grow and they want to be part of it. And like the Lotus group, you blossom, right? You become more than what you are. And that's really cool, Karina, what you're doing there. And just leading with value, leading with helping people. You don't have to babysit them. And that's obviously none of us here on this panel want to babysit. But you're able to give them something. And I feel like, we're doing very similar stuff there. You're giving people value that they can then go out and find their own leads. They're able to go out and find their own business. And I'm sure that, with the group, you have preferred partners too, that like, obviously, one of the big things we're doing is live events. Live events bring value to people that maybe they're just not techie people. Like, maybe they don't get on Zoom calls. But our partners are able to even do stuff like they're helping out, put on those events. And it just really is amazing to be able to connect agents that don't, they don't have that opportunity where they are, and you can show them where they can go if, they align with the right people. It's so important always, you guys, to pick your sphere. Your sphere is simply going to be the most important part. Always be, like I always say, the dumbest person in the room, and then always be the least successful person in the room. And when you do those things, you're able to just grow and learn and take knowledge from people that they've been through exactly what you've been through. So I love that, Karina. Great stuff.
We have a team, so it's pretty good. But I'm not holding it, right? We're just leading.
Right, that's it. I had a conversation today with one of our agents who's starting a team, and a great kid and starting a team, and so obviously I'm teaching him structures and all that stuff we're talking about today. And I said, think about the advantage of starting a team. So here he is, and then under that he has me, my entire group, and all the support that I do for the tribe and all that stuff. And then on top of that, he has EXP. So starting a team when you have that type of support system is so much different than starting a team from scratch. I mean, it is. Randy, you're up, bud.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the theme that everyone is talking about real is keep it nice and tight, keep it small. Otherwise, you're basically building a brokerage, and most brokerages, as you're hearing, are broke unless you start going for volume in terms of the amount of agents. And because if you know broker owners, and I was one, and I know Mitch was, and maybe several others, or like Craig, if you're at 50, 60 agents, there's no money in it, right? You're literally, it's spinning your wheels, trying to deliver resources for the agents, which is still a large team, right? That's a large team, basically. And so if you're starting a team, keep it small. And the way I advise, like, let's say there's an investor that is very successful now and does, 4 or 5 flips a month, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to get my broker's license and I'm going to start my own brokerage. I'm like, don't do that. It's like, no, there's no need. If instead, just get your license, park your license under someone. I don't care if it's EXP or another company, leverage their resources, leverage their liability policies of insurance and all of that, all the nonsense that you don't want to deal with. Negotiate a good split, right? And then hire a listing agent first to sell all your flips for you. And now you start controlling your inventory and how it's being sold. And then from there, because if that listing agent is doing well, they should be creating more opportunities with buyers and other sellers to the point where they should be overwhelmed, which is a good problem. Then you bring on another agent. And usually that will be a buyer's agent. So you're only creating a team and growing based on the organic need that your business is demanding, not the other way around. And this is where hindsight now, but if I were to go back, I would redo it in this way and not actually grow a brokerage, to be honest, because I allowed it to organically just grow, and agents were attracted to the new sexy thing of an investor-friendly brokerage. This was 2011, 12, 13. And I just allowed agents to come. And then I was like, oh, crap, now I have 12 agents I have to manage as I'm running a flipping company. So this is where Brian came in and he started managing. Well, guess what? Brian isn't going to manage for free. So I have to pay Brian, right? And then I have to have a marketing person. And then they need websites. And so now I basically fell into this brokerage. Like that wasn't even like a big intent. It was just like, wow, this is cool. Like agents want to join our company. This is cool. Let's go. Not realizing that it's a trap, right? Down the road, of course, you realize that, and I'm blessed that I'm part of EXP now as well. And it was the best thing for us from that standpoint, because Brian can tell you at some point in our career of owning that brokerage and him and I becoming really close, and he was my manager, we decided that we cannot bring on any more newbie agents. And that's painful to say because all of us here were new at one point. So it's like, it stinks that you're literally making a decision as a broker owner in the business of bringing agents into your brokerage and helping them become good realtors. You're making a conscious decision. You know what? I do not want any newbies. And that was us at one point. But we had to do that because there was no money in it. Right? We were already sinking. It was a sinking ship. And now you're bringing on new agents that are not going to produce for a while. And we know the odds, 87% of agents fail, right? And in their first year, the agents switch brokerages 2 to 3 times within the first couple of years. So we knew the stats and we're like, we can't do it. But our whole philosophy changed the moment we went under someone else. And again, it doesn't matter who. You can go under KW, you can go under other brokerages. The moment we realized we can actually release all of the responsibilities of technology and liability and overhead, and then we were like, well, let's start allowing new agents to join our organization locally and nationally now, because we have the capacity to actually help them, because we're not in the trenches anymore with all the nonsense. And that shifts your focus to be like, wow, I can actually help more people now because I don't have to think about those things. So I think the other theme that if you're listening, that if you're at EXP or somewhere else, think about that. If you're considering building a team and turning it into a brokerage, like I would actually challenge you against that. And then stay where you are and grow it underneath there, it will be much easier. And you're building a business within the business without the nonsense of compliance and all the liabilities after all. And it's possible, and you can actually make more money that way. But I still will go back to what most of you said. I would build it based on demand of the leads and clients that I have, and then I would bring in the puzzle pieces. If it's an assistant, if it's a buyer's agent, if it's a listing agent, and keep it there for as long as you can, because honestly, if you go beyond that, you'll notice that the profitability will go away. If you do it, make sure you have different commission structures, right? If you hand the lead over, there's a higher split going to you. If they find their own lead through their own sphere, then they should get a higher split on that, right? So don't just make one blanket agreement. If you're allowing to bring agents onto your team that, hey, this is the split, it's 50-50 because you're on my team and I give you all this stuff and I train you. Yeah, but eventually just know that those agents are probably gonna start being hesitant about doing hunting for their own leads because you're literally are decentivizing them to do it. So just make sure you have a different team agreements that spells out, okay, for this lead, you get this. If I hand you a lead for this lead, if you find one, you get this commission split. So be strategic on the splits. And then now fast forward to where we are today, just to kind of give you, where we are. Brian and I, we are running a national team, which is very, very investor friendly focused. So I think that's one of the things that still attracts agents to us because of our niche. So we kept with that niche. Locally, we still have our 30-40 agent team. We do everything remote, right? When we moved to EXP, we said, well, we're going to keep it with the EXP theme of being virtual. So we do all of our Zoom meetings remote, which actually allows me to reach more agents in Southern California. So I have agents from LA, Riverside, Orange County, Ventura County, joining my Zoom meetings here locally. And I do it all virtually again, right? So it allows me to expand to other areas where I couldn't reach agents before, but I do everything virtual. And when a new agent comes on board, here's what I tell them. I was like, look, the number one challenge you're going to have is you have no credibility. You're going to be a bit scared to go to a listing appointment or even pick up the phone and have a first buyer consultation. That's normal because you just never done it. So I can be your mentor, right? So all of you should, everyone should have a mentor if you're new. I'm certified at EXP. However, a mentor does not go to an appointment with you. That's not what a mentor does, right? I'm not going to be hand-holding you all the way through and doing all your paperwork for you and calling the agents and negotiating on your behalf. That's not what a mentor does. A mentor will tell you what you need to do, and then you have to go do it, right? I was like, if you would like, I have an option for you where we can partner with a client that you generate. So if you generate a client, or if let's say it's still a lead, we can do the appointment together and we'll do it at a 50-50 split. It's just for that one client and it's optional and we don't have to sign any paperwork. And that eliminates the fear of them going out there talking about real estate without knowing anything about real estate. Because the truth is getting your license doesn't really teach you the real life experiences that you're going to experience. So that's how I'm comfortable now bringing on new agents. And then I say, look, because here's a question I ask the newer agents. Do you see yourself as an entrepreneur or more as an employee? Where do you fit better? Like, are you self-inspired, self-motivated, or do you need someone telling you what to do every day? Right? Like, are you more like you want more structure or you want more freedom? Right? And I believe most agents get their license because they think they want to be the entrepreneur. Right? That's what I've noticed when I ask those questions, and I've had hundreds of these conversations now. So then I say, look, no problem. You will flourish as an entrepreneur with our network, with our organization. Now it depends. What is your niche? Do you want to do open houses? Do you want to do luxury? Do you want to do investing? Then I'll guide you on the path, but you got to lean in and attend those trainings so you don't get scatterbrained. So then I tell them I'll guide them. And I said, look, after 6 months, if you realize that you need someone in your ear. You literally need someone calling you, emailing you, hey, where are you? We're doing scripting right now. You better be here. You have to be here. And you need leads handed to you. That's an employee more of a mindset. It's okay. I was like, let me then help you and actually introduce you to some of the team leaders that run their brokerages and teams that way, where they literally generate hundreds and hundreds of leads per month. Now you're going to pay for it with your split, and you're not going to be on the contracts because the rainmaker is on all the contracts. So there are some negatives to it, right? Where you're not going to have credit. So if someone looks you up 2 years from now, even though you've closed 20 deals, you might look to the public as if you've closed nothing. But that's okay though, because at least you've closed 20 deals and you have experience. So I point out the negatives and the positives, but I said, if in 6 months you decide that being an entrepreneur, because that's what we are, we're business owners, is not for you, let's still keep you in the business because there might be a place for you. There are agents out there that are absolutely flourishing in the team aspect where they get fed all the leads. They have weekly meetings. There's accountability. It is type of more of an employee position, but they're flourishing and they will never leave that team. And there is a role for that person. So we've done this. Brian and I literally have done this where we've had a few new agents. They were like, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm self-motivated. I'm going to do it. And they don't show up to anything. And I'm like, I thought where are you? What's going on? Oh, this is so hard. And okay, 6 months go by. I'm like, maybe this isn't for you, right? Have you considered that? Like what we talked about 6 months ago? Yeah, maybe I'm better off in that more structured format. All right, well then maybe that's the time. And then we would literally introduce them to some mega teams locally at EXP. I was like, I would rather see you flourish than be here complaining, right? And getting out of the business and become the statistic of 87%. And now they're flourishing, like Mac, right, Brian? Mac, who's now started with us, now he's on a team with structure and he's crushing it. I love that.
Yeah.
You have to understand the dynamics of yourself. So if you're looking to join a team, look within you. Who are you? What do you need? Where do you see yourself flourishing and what type of environment? And that's how you should make a decision of what team you should join. And if you're a team leader, then find out if you're not doing, because I don't want to generate hundreds of leads. That's not my model. If that's not your model, find other team leaders around you that do that. So you can maybe refer those agents that come to you that don't fit your model, refer them out and let them flourish there instead of bringing them on because you're like, oh, I want to have another agent on my team. This is amazing. They're coming to me. They will suck your time dry because you're going against your own values, against your own structure. And I'll stop there because it's anyway,
Great stuff.
teams are
can I
an
add
interesting
something to that?
concept.
So, okay, did you want to add something real quick?
Yeah, and Randy, like you just said there, if your model isn't building internet leads, really, which is where most teams are built off of, right? If you're not generating tons and tons of click leads or pay-per-click leads or whatever it may be, that local model is not right. You got to find, like I said earlier, find your opposite side. If your business is really inbound leads only, or you're more referral based, or you're more, whatever, you're tighter knit. Don't try to create a round wheel trying to put it through a triangle. It doesn't work. But if you do have an inbound lead, because thankfully and luckily we've been doing pay-per-click leads since 2003. If you do have that system already and you're busy and you're able to generate enough leads that you can outsource them, or if you have enough listings, or if that is your business where you are generating max leads, that might be a good avenue. So just because people, we all have really unique niches here, which is so cool. But just because maybe that isn't working for one person doesn't mean it doesn't work for others. Because that's really the most amazing part I've seen with our nationwide group is, some people flourish and they now have 15 team members. They spend $100,000 a month, but they do, 1,000 deals a year. And then we have other team members that are still completely solo agents, doing their own special things that get them up to 100, deals a year. I think one thing that I will say, for me and for our groups, is you have to have some type of consistent lead gen. We do obviously a lot of pay-per-click and that kind of stuff. And that's what we give to you. It's like one of the first things that we give is like, hey, $5 a day, you're going to get some consistent leads with this to get you going. And that's really important, I think, is you have to be able to provide something. They can pay for it, but you have to be able to provide it, because a lot of agents, they don't know where to look for it.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes of experience and thoughts that took me 22 years to learn. All right. First of all, the worst gig of my life was being a broker. And I've owned a restaurant. It was worse than owning a restaurant. Right. Zero control of your business, zero control of your life, and you make no money. 120 agents, I made 200 grand profit. My best year, my average year was between $50,000 and $75,000 profit. So that's number one. Number two, teams. If you're going to do a team, first of all, why? So if you're going to become a broker, come to my house so I can smack the crap out of you. All right, that's number one. If you want to be a broker, and we're
I'll be there too.
school.
I'll do it. Can I do
We'll
it?
put them through the gambit, right? But here's the deal: we're taught that in school. You become a successful realtor, then you build a team, then you start a brokerage. It's the big lie. It's bullshit. I talk to brokers every day, literally every day. I have at least one broker call. I've yet to find one happy. Not one. They'll put on the game. So why are you starting a team? Are you starting because of ego? Are you starting it because of leverage? Right? Generally, that's what I always make the joke. I started this stuff to get leverage and freedom, and what I got was babysitting in prison. Right? And every team or broker you meet will say that there's no exit strategy. So let me give you a little different thought process on how to build your business and leverage. And I'm all about efficiency. I'm teaching, when I'm doing coaching calls right now, it's all about efficiency. It's not about, it's how do you make as much money as you can working 35, 40 hours a week. Right. So because your family, we've had this conversation before, is way more important than money. Right. And this is from someone that's lost $82 million. So I have a little knowledge on losing a lot of shit. All right. So here's what I want you to think about. Instead of building a team, I want you to build a business. So a team is generally a realtor who does really well, who thinks they should leverage, which they don't, because they don't know how to run a team, generally. And instead, run it like a business. So here's how I've sold homes the last 7, 8, 10 years. First of all, I would average, I've only sold 25, 30 homes a year the last many years because I ran my brokerage and all this other stuff that I run. However, never worked more than 100 hours a year. Did you hear that? 100 hours a year. And to me, this is how I did it. When Pat's on the call, on this call, so she may want to kick in that conversation too. But the reality is what I do now is, instead of having a team, I mean, I have a group that I'm organized here we help as team-like, but instead of having a true team where I make money off them, I will put out to my organization and locally, who wants to show property for me today. I'll give you $25 an hour. 5 hands go up, 10 hands go up all the time. I tell my customers when I'm meeting them, I said, and by the way, buyers take up all the time. Listings don't take up a lot of time. Buyers are what take up all your time. So I tell my customer, I say, look, I just want to explain to you how I work. I'm really, really good at finding your house. I'm really, really good at negotiations and writing contracts and contract to close. That's my special powers. My special powers are not opening the door to look at houses. Anybody can do that. So the value of my time is helping you, as well as my other customers, negotiate for the best deals and finding the right properties. That's what I'm good at. So I'm going to have so-and-so is going to show you properties. Is that okay? Not once over the years did I lose a customer. Now, the reality is I've given up 50% of my commission a year to do that, right? But time is more important to me than money, right? Money's great, but if you're a parent, if you got kids, that's way more important. So I just want you to think a little bit different. Are you starting it because of ego, because you want to be the team leader, or are you starting it because you want to make more money? You're going to make more money using people to take spots for you that you don't want to do. Like, I don't do contract to close. I hand everything off to Pat, and Pat has a closing coordinator, and she kind of manages the transaction from there. And I give her 50% of my commission to do that, and vice versa. We've been working as partners now for 10 years. But the reality is, neither of us put $100 a year into real estate, but yet make $100,000+ a year doing it. So anyway, so think differently a little bit. Anything else anybody want to add before we have 1 minute left?
I agree. Like literally, I have my marketing director. When we closed the brokerage, she literally came to me, like, Randy, I've been around your company and I've seen the realtors that are successful, the ones that struggle, and I just see what goes on in this. And I think I would like to be a realtor, but I don't want to go hunt for leads. Is there any way I can work with you directly? Because she got to see it, right? All the challenges that our realtors have gone through as she was assisting them in the marketing. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't need to pay. I don't need a marketing director because we're no longer, we're going to EXP. They have a whole marketing center. So literally, little by little, I trained her, and I paid her $500 for a few things for a few months. Then I upped it to $1,000, and then I started doing what Mitch said. Hey, you go show the properties. I would do the buyer consultation with her and my lender in my office. And then they would go out and look at the properties, and I would give her 25% of the gross commission check. Then I train her on my negotiating skills and how to listen to my recorded calls. And then now I literally give her 50% or every client that I have, because to me, it's like Mitch, that's more important than anything else. I have 2 little girls, and I try not to leave my house. That's just my value right now, right? She doesn't mind. She is blessed and grateful because she has still to this day, and we've been in business together 3 years, she still has not brought in her own client to this day. Well, not one. Like, and she's fine. She's grateful. So she's willing to go and drive around every day if I ask her with my clients, because she never had to go and find those clients. That's not her strength. But you pay for that. And in order for to keep her motivated and excited, 50-50 is a fair agreement. And I bet you she will not want to leave us. Why? Why would she want to leave my personal team if I'm giving her 50% of my commission? So you have to be fair as well, but also you have to divide the responsibilities accordingly and have check-ins with your team members and see, do they feel like it's lopsided in your favor or the other way around? It's got to be even, but it doesn't. You will not know that unless you have communication with your team members on a consistent basis, which I want to finish with this. If you're going to step into becoming a team leader, you better understand it's no longer about leads and sales anymore. It's all of that. Plus, you got to learn how to be a leader, which is a whole another training of itself, where books and all that. So.
Good book to read. We'll end on this is The 1 Minute Sales Manager by Cal Blanchard. It's a really simple read, probably the best book I read in my lifetime for managing people. Great stuff, guys. We got to run. Sorry, 2 past, 3 past. Thanks, everybody. Have a wicked, awesome day, and don't be evil. Maybe a little.
Thanks,
everybody.
See you guys.